Why you're always tired, even when nothing's wrong. You keep saying you're just tired. But deep down, it feels like time is swallowing you. Every hour feels borrowed. Every minute, an apology you owe someone. You check the clock again. Not to know the time, but to measure how far behind you already are. You plan. You rush, you cross things off, and somehow the list only grows. You try to rest, but resting feels like failure. And somewhere between the alarms and unread messages, you stopped asking why. What if it's not the deadlines? What if it's the silence that comes when you finally slow down? Would you even know what to do with it? Or has the rushing become the only way you know how to feel real? You didn't mean for it to become a lifestyle. At first, it was just one all-nighter. Then a weekend where you didn't leave the house. Then a week of pretending you're just swamped. And somewhere in there you stopped noticing that your baseline was panic, but not loud panic, not sirens or chaos, just this low hum. Always there, under the deadlines, under the texts you haven't answered, under the silence when you finally try to rest. You look calm, you sound capable, but inside there's this constant pressure, like something urgent is always about to slip through your fingers. And the worst part? You don't even know what it is. You just know you're behind. Even if no one told you, even if nothing is technically wrong. You wake up already apologizing to the day, already negotiating with time, already rehearsing what excuse you'll use when you fall short. Again. And it's not that you're lazy, it's that your energy now comes from fear. Fear of slowing down, fear of what that stillness might uncover. Fear that if you stop even for a second, you'll finally hear what you've been running from. There's a moment you always remember. Not the exact day. Just how it felt. You were young, sitting at the dinner table, and you asked a question, one of those open, wondering ones, but the answer came back sharp. Why are you wasting time thinking about that? And you learned right there. Some questions are dangerous, some thoughts don't belong, so you stopped asking, started doing, started measuring your worth in how much you could cross off, how fast you could bounce back, how rarely you had to ask for help. That's how it starts, isn't it? The loop. Do more. Say less. Move fast. Feel nothing. You didn't know you were building a life on that pattern. You just knew it kept you from feeling exposed. You probably know this feeling, even if you've never said it. You're sitting at your desk, but your brain is somewhere else. Running. Not toward anything, just away. You look at the time. 10:47 a.m. You had a list. You had a plan. And now it's almost lunch and you've barely touched it. But it's not distraction. It's something heavier. Like your body is here, but your mind is buffering. Not broken, just lost in lag. So you try to force it. More caffeine, less breaks, more tabs open. Maybe if you move fast enough, the feeling won't catch you. But it does. Right around 3 p.m., when your inbox is still full, when your to-do list still mocks you, when your chest tightens for no reason you can name. And you wonder, is this just how I live now? Here's the part that still stings. You used to dream. Big, reckless dreams. Of writing or traveling or building something beautiful. But now your dreams are smaller. Maybe this weekend I'll sleep in. Maybe tomorrow I won't forget to eat. Maybe I won't feel behind just for once. And you tell yourself that's maturity, that you've adjusted expectations. But it doesn't feel like peace. It feels like shrinking. Like life has slowly become a game of survival, disguised as achievement. Because you're still achieving. Still performing, still showing up. But it's empty now, a kind of functional freeze, where everything on the outside moves, but inside, you're paused in a version of yourself that's too afraid to thaw. You convince yourself it's just a phase, that next month will be better, that a new app, a new plan, a new habit will fix it. But then you hit the same wall, over and over. The same drop in your stomach at 6 p.m. when you realize you ran all day and still didn't catch up. The same guilt when someone texts, "How are you?" and you don't know what to say. The same silence at night, not peaceful, but hollow. Like the world turned down its volume and forgot to turn yours back up. There are days when you disappear without even noticing. Not physically. You still show up to the meeting, reply to the email, remember to feed the cat. But emotionally, you're not really there. Just a shadow version of yourself, performing adequacy. Numb enough to keep going. Just numb enough not to scream. And then someone says, "You're doing amazing." And you smile. You say thank you. Because what else are you supposed to do? Tell them that you feel like time is crushing you? That you wake up already losing a race no one else sees? Of course not. You just keep moving. That's what you've always done. Because slowing down would mean explaining. And explaining would mean feeling. And feeling would mean opening the door to everything you've spent years trying to outrun. And then without warning, it shows up again. That moment, that silence, that pause between tasks where you suddenly realize you don't remember the last time you felt okay. Not happy, not successful, just okay. And it's not because your life is falling apart. It's because your nervous system never learned what safety feels like. Only motion, only pressure, only the next thing. You keep moving, not because you want to, but because you're scared of what happens if you stop. You keep moving, not because you want to, but because you're scared of what happens if you stop. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part is, you don't even remember when you stopped trusting yourself to stop. When rest became something you had to earn. When the sound of your own thoughts started to feel unsafe. You tell yourself you're just tired, but it's more than that. It's how your body flinches at free time. How you feel guilty for sitting down. How every pause turns into a trial. Proving whether you've done enough, been enough, are enough. And this is where something quietly broke. You started checking your productivity, like it was your heartbeat. Like slowing down would mean flatlining. So you stay busy, not because it helps, but because silence doesn't know your name anymore. Right here is where you got used to disappearing. Not suddenly, not loudly, just little things. Saying I'm good without checking if it's true. Pretending you're focused when really your brain is fogged out. Smiling when you feel nothing. You show up, you perform, you meet the deadline. But somewhere in the space between task and thought, you're gone. You try to snap out of it. Maybe a walk will help. Maybe a new planner. Maybe one more night of staying up late to finally catch up. But nothing really works. Because the part of you that's trying is also the part that's exhausted. And you don't know how to fix that without unraveling something you're scared to touch. This is when the silence started to scream. It happens on a random Tuesday. Nothing's wrong, but everything feels off. You look around, your life looks fine, you're functioning. People trust you, you've held it together. But inside, something's sagging. Something keeps whispering that you're not really here. That you've been faking presence for so long, you forgot what it's like to feel real. And still, you say nothing. Because what would you even say? What do you do when rest feels more dangerous than exhaustion? What if the burnout isn't from doing too much, but from never letting yourself just be? What if your strength was just you, holding in the scream for too long? You go to sleep with your jaw clenched. You wake up already behind. You tell yourself it's just a season, but it's not. It's a loop. One you built so carefully, you didn't notice when it became a cage. And now you're just tired of pretending that managing it is the same as feeling okay. You didn't fall apart, you faded, and no one noticed, not even you. Until now. Maybe it wasn't about falling behind. Maybe it was about never knowing what caught up was supposed to feel like. You moved faster, you worked harder, you waited for the relief to come, but it never did. Because the finish line kept shifting, and no one told you. You were allowed to stop running. It's strange how exhaustion doesn't always feel heavy. Sometimes it's just empty, like forgetting your own name for a moment and not missing it, like realizing you haven't heard yourself think in weeks. And when you finally do, the voice feels unfamiliar. You start wondering things you never let surface. What if rest was never the threat? What if you just didn't feel safe enough to let it hold you? What if you didn't fall behind? You just slowed down long enough to notice the ache. And now, maybe for the first time, you're not trying to fix it, you're just sitting in it, quiet, still, not gone, just here.